Well, we've got solar storms and extinction level events, which seem to be intertwined with Three Eye Atlas. And how do we know that? Well, remote viewing data previously confirmed that reptilian beings are aboard Three Eye Atlas, an interstellar object traveling towards Earth. Now, with intensifying solar activity producing auroras in the sky where none have been seen before, it's left people wondering whether the sun's activity could be related to this alleged spaceship. In this metaphysical episode with us, Rob and John, we'll discuss updates in the remote viewing data, what other viewers have seen, what sun activity like coronal mass ejections has historically meant, and the spiritual perspectives that can shine more light on the whole situation. So join me, investigative researcher Rob Counts, and remote viewer John Vivanco for a metaphysical show that's out of this world.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I know it's live right now, but anywhere else, that 5-star rating and review, it really, really, really helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the thing is that you got to do around that, because
Yeah,
I
and
don't know
YouTube,
subscribe, follow anything.
right. Yeah, YouTube just rolled out this new feature too, where actually after the show is published, I guess there's a hype button, and you can hype the episode to get it sent out to more people. So if you guys would mind, we'd love to have you do that for us, and we'll see if we can reach more people with the show.
Hype
John,
it.
how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah,
I'm doing
good.
I gotta say, like, like I somewhat cringe at the intro when I hear reptilian.
I know, me too.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But it
So
was said.
it was said, but here's the thing. There are other remote viewers out there that have started to push their data forward, which is confirming the data that I have on it too. And the other thing on it as well, which I find kind of curious, is that here we have in this world that we live in right now, we have this so-called push for disclosure, right? And a lot of people are now looking at the sky, and the only reason they're looking at the sky and questioning these things and going, "Wow, the government, the government's kind of pushing me in that direction." I mean, they don't think that way; they just think the government's disclosing now. The government is on the verge of telling us that they're aliens, and this kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
so it's hard, but it's still hard for people to make that leap, that mental leap into species of aliens, right? It's still hard for people to do that. And because that whole reptilian idea has gotten so ridiculously placed into just the madman categories,
Yeah.
the moment it comes out of your mouth, it just sounds absurd. Yet people are being the next step is, once they realize that there are truly things that have been visiting the planet for a very long time, and that a lot of the craft things that people are seeing are related to these. The next step is, well, what are they? And then you're going to be going into all those different types of species that are, and those are included. And it's not a species in and of itself. It's more like there are renditions of those types of beings. It's like the gray style of being with the big head and big eyes is pretty much a ubiquitous shape out there, because it works well in probably low gravity environments. It works well in work situations on planets. It just works well in general. So there's going to be another form that has, its own characteristics that a certain species or groups of species have found works well, because a lot of this stuff is also engineered to be this way. So when you think about it, it's really not such a big deal to say that. It just comes with a lot of baggage.
It does. Yeah, I mean, we've gone through a lot here. It's kind of like you said, like they're revealing more and more recently, but there's all of this history of people getting thrown under the bus for revealing things over the
Right.
last 50 to 100 years. And it's hard to get rid of all of that, you know? So,
Right.
um,
Well,
have you
look,
ever?
tomorrow a documentary is coming out called Age of Disclosure, and it's getting very, very hyped.
Yeah.
And it's about the 80-year cover up with ex-CIA officials like Clapper, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like 30 officials or 30 whistleblowers to talk about the 80-year cover-up and to talk about the race to reverse engineer all this stuff, the craft specifically, throughout many countries. And a lot of people are looking forward to this documentary, and it's being hyped. It's being very, very hyped.
Yeah. I just saw Marco Rubio on there talking. So
Right,
yeah.
right, right. But see, this is the state we're in at the moment where we're talking about an 80-year cover up. And this 80-year cover up, when people look to the government to disclose to them what this is, and the government turns around, or I'm not saying the government, I'm just saying the military industrial complex tells you that we have no evidence that they're extraterrestrial, or we don't know what they are, or whatever it is that they say. It's absolute 100% nonsense. 100%
Of
nonsense,
course.
because this has been studied for 80 years and been kept from the population for 80 years. While you have tons of grassroots researchers who have uncovered this stuff and found correlations within data from South Africa to Canada that point to the same things over and over again. And of course, the military industrial complex would have a much heftier investigative platform to work off of, and they would have figured it out right away. It's not hard to figure it out anyway, but you know, this is the problem of people not doing their own research and following their own nose as opposed to having somebody guide them.
Yeah, well, and also it's just like you said. I mean, the what do you expect from the military industrial complex, right? Did
Right.
you see the close-up view of a triangular object that suddenly appeared on NASA's live stream right before the video was cut? Did you get to see that? It was pretty interesting. Like that just happened. Was that yesterday? The day before? Um, Lindsay, I can send this to you to pull up. Let me just yeah, you can pull this up. And there are multiple videos of this. Lots of people on Twitter discussing this, and this isn't the first time the NASA live feed has cut out, but this one very clearly shows a bizarre, unidentified flying object flying right in front of the nose of the camera. And there's an expanded view of this where you can see it blip into existence almost. I think
Well,
outside
that
of
was
the
in the
frame here.
sequence. That was in the sequence with a bunch of other things, and it looks like that screen is only displaying 3/4
Yeah, so that's
of,
kind of it, is
and
like you can find other videos of this where it shows a little bit more of what happened, but,
right.
that was the
I
gist.
was I was I watched that whole video, and I pretty much come to the conclusion that it was some sort of reflection, because it looked like a reflection of the earth at night with city lights. So that's what I thought it was when I saw
Mm,
that, because a lot of sort of like rock-looking forms would move by with little lights on them after that triangle-ish looking thing, and so I assumed that the whole event was just sort of like, some sort of weird reflection that was happening.
mm. Yeah,
That's what I
I
thought.
I don't that looked like pretty legit to me. I don't know, but,
Yeah, it looks like it was filmed with a potato, though.
yeah, I think, like I said, there are other videos, and some of them are more clear. This one might have gone
Ah, okay.
through, processing a little too much.
I'll have to
Now
look
it
at
just
that
looks
one.
like a Dorito I wanna eat.
Right.
So yeah. But, so, okay, we've got, we were kinda talking about some of this, I mean, just ridiculousness with covering up all of that stuff, but we've got also potentially the largest spaceship ever, that just went past Earth, Three Eye Atlas, barreling through the solar system. And I thought it was really interesting that last week, when the solar storms really hit the atmosphere very hard, I mean, these were G5s. This was like super, super strong. There was a lot of people really concerned that if the energy levels from the sun had stayed consistent, that we were going to lose power across Earth. What ended up happening is when, like, I think it was the third or the fourth coronal blast hit the atmosphere, it was when the United States was facing away from the sun. Africa was basically right in the way of the rays, I guess. And I think radio and maybe even some power went out across Africa. I think there was no radio almost for the entire day because of the frequencies. Now,
Yeah,
what?
that normally happens when there's a outburst. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Certain
I mean, that
frequencies go
hasn't
through.
really happened in the States very much, has it? Though.
No, no, it does. Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it's a common occurrence. The only time you really hear about this stuff is when we have big ones,
Yeah.
and so if you're not paying a lot of attention, because I pay a lot of attention to the sun and have studied it to a
Mm,
degree. And this is a regular occurrence where radio bands will basically go out, and especially when you're looking at the South Atlantic anomaly, the SAA, the area near Africa where there's a big, huge hole. It's a weakening of our magnetic field.
yeah.
It really like affects that area quite a bit
Mm,
because the magnetic field of the Earth is very weak in that area. So yeah, we do get radio blackouts
yeah.
quite frequently when we get the large ones. And right now we're in a solar maximum, which happens every 11-ish years. So we go from solar maximum to solar minimum, solar maximum to solar minimum. Right now we're in a solar maximum. So, we can expect these types of events to happen more frequently.
Yeah. And how long does the solar maximum last? Like a year?
Well, I mean, it's not like a clock, but 11 years, around 11 years.
Oh, so it's
Um,
like it goes for almost 11 years that this will last.
well, we're either in the middle of it or we're still in it or like at the tail end of it. And so when we're at the tail end of it, if we are at the
Mm,
tail end of it, it even gets a little bit more
I
wonky.
see. Yeah.
So, and really what it has to do with the, solar maximum and solar minimum is the magnetic field of the sun um, moving from the sunspots start to occur on the equator of the sun. They start to move in that direction. You get this dipole, and you get this intense electromagnetic reaction in those areas, which causes the the uh, which causes the CMEs and the flares. And then when we go back into solar minimum, those areas move to the poles, and the sun gets mellow. It's like the magnetic field of the sun is much more stable on the
Mm,
solar minimum because you've got basically a north-south
right.
um, pole that's stable. And so every 11 years the pole flips on the sun. The north-south pole
Wow.
flips on the sun. So during this time in the maximum, we're going to get these big storms that we're seeing. We're going to get these big storms. It's an inevitability. X5 was the biggest. 5.1 was the biggest one that we've gotten, but last year we had, I think, a bigger one or bigger
Yeah.
ones,
Yeah.
and they cannibalized.
2024. There was a massive one in 2024 that we found.
Yeah, back in May, that was
Mm,
you see the auroras down to like Florida with these events, especially when you have a couple of them that like cannibalize each other. They just merge. And then you have like another X. So what happened with this last one is we had a couple of smaller ones merge together, hit us, and then we had an X5 hit us, and then we had the edge of an X4 hit us.
mm.
But when the X5 hit us, that was the big night where auroras were seen like all the way down to Florida. And then I heard people speculating that if that X4 hit us dead on, the last
Directly.
one, we could have been in trouble, maybe.
Yeah.
You have to remember that, like, there are lots and lots of mitigation um, techniques that power companies employ, and they're connected to the National Weather Service and NOAA to understand, you know, how big these storms are, what components are coming from the storm that's going to affect any grid, and they begin to shut down. like vulnerable transformers and parts of the system, just in case, because
Yeah.
locally things, power transformers have blown up um, in these situations, but it's not like an X5 is not a big deal for the Earth, not a big deal at all. And it can our systems can withstand that stuff. But currently, a lot of it is, well, we're just going to build this stuff out, and we just hope that we don't get an X45 or whatever the Carrington event was back in the late 1800s.
What happened? Yeah, we actually had. What's that? The G. Yeah, that was a G5, right? That
Yeah,
hit.
it was what we had just last time. Was the big one was an X5.1. So the scale goes from C being the lowest, M the middle, and X the highest.
Oh,
Um, and during the Carrington event, it was well, I mean, they guesstimate that it was an X45, which blew out the telegraph system.
yeah,
But there
that's
was actually
ridiculous.
a previous, yeah, yeah, there was actually a previous solar flare in CME. I don't know, like a couple days before or a day before, that might have been like a low X, maybe an X.2 or something, or even maybe an M class flare, slightly smaller. And that probably cleared the way for the solar wind to increase and cause the X45. I mean, they're even questioning if this was an X45. It could have been an X100. I guess you could say that this was anywhere from an X45 to an X100 class flare. So now, if we get one of those, we go back to the Stone Age. There's just you
Yeah,
can't, they haven't hardened against these things. I mean, you would have some areas probably that would stay afloat because they have underground cables, more underground cables and stuff. But anything on the surface is going to be fried. We would go back to no electricity for quite a while, quite a while.
yeah, because once the transformers blow, we're talking about, you know, many months, like maybe even over a year before you get any of those back up and running, right?
Right, right. So I wouldn't like concern myself with the low X class flares hitting Earth unless there's a whole bunch of cannibalization going on and then a whole bunch in a row. Then it would be like, well, what's going to happen? Keep my eye out. We don't know. But now, if the sun popped off a X50-ish range,
Oh yeah,
that is,
we're
and
toast.
it's coming right at us, then that is really, you've got like maybe 24 hours to prepare for that. That is a
Oh
definite
yeah, no
preparation.
no one on planet Earth is prepared for that. Even if they prepared for that. Just
Right.
not.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you'd have
Right.
to be living off grid and with your own power system, and even then, or
No,
have backups.
your electricity, the amount of electricity that flows through the earth when they hit is big. This is why people start to feel a little bit weird, a little bit off,
Lots
headaches.
of people saying
Yeah.
that they were feeling strange during that.
Yeah, because the amount of electricity that's flowing, it's just something your body's trying to deal with. Yeah. Yeah. The auroras are amazing. They're very, very beautiful, but when I
They
look
are.
at it, I just see the monster behind it.
You
These
see
are a
the
bit freaky. It's just this monster is behind it, and that monster can bite you at any moment.
so let's back before we go more into the solar storms and stuff like that. To back up your point, yesterday I was looking at a massive 300,000 mile wide um, sunspot on the sun. It
Yeah,
looked
that
like the
causes a lot
Twitter
of solar
logo.
wind. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that?
it was. It looked exactly like the Twitter logo. It was really weird. I feel like Jack Dorsey is behind it.
Yeah.
Look at this thing. That is the Twitter logo.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. That's funny.
That's I've never seen one bigger than that. I mean, I don't know if the size of sunspots necessarily mean that there's going to be more activity on the sun, but if it does mean
No, I
that, then
mean,
we're screwed.
well, that's not a that's yeah, that's a different thing than how we get CMEs. That's going to cause a lot of a faster solar wind, those big spots, which if there's a CME that basically comes from um, the spots that are beginning to explode around the pole or in that
Yeah.
area. It can push them faster to the Earth. So, but those, yeah, not going to be not those aren't going to be producing CMEs.
Well, let's get back to the solar storms for a second because Avi Loeb last week wrote an article on medium.com and it says, did 3i Atlas just break up near the sun? And some of the content of the article was the dramatic mass loss and brightening of 3i Atlas at perihelion evidence. Sorry, did I say that right?
Perihelion.
Perihelion? Excuse me, perihelion. I totally read that wrong.
Perihelion.
Was that perihelion evidence that it disintegrated? Breakup into fragments would have increased the surface area of its material. Since the surface to mass ratio scales inversely with the characteristic radius of fragments, an increase in surface area by a minimum factor of 16 requires that 3i Atlas broke into at least 16 equal pieces and likely many more. This would mean that 3i Atlas exploded at perihelion and perihelion, and we are witnessing the resulting fireworks. In other words, the latest image implies that 3i Atlas was decimated, by heating from the sun, if it is a natural comet. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't see like I heard that. I heard the claim on that, but then I don't think it did break up. I don't think it did actually break up because I know a lot of people were talking about that. I think it's still intact. The consensus, at least, is that it's still intact.
Hmm. Still intact and with its same nefarious mission. We had
Wow.
we had a show on Edge of Wonder, which if you used to watch that show, we just got back our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we were having a live show on Rumble a couple of days ago, and we were kind of speculating about 3i Atlas. And there had definitely been some people who had they strongly believe that 3i Atlas has gotten kind of screwed up from the solar blasts, which is totally possible. But yeah, I'm just curious. Like, did you look into this at all? Did you kind of
Yeah.
what was
Yeah,
your
because like
what's your
it's not
take?
just that. I mean, people are floating around this idea of the sun attacking it, But I mean, it's a nice story. Um, didn't
It's a
see
fun
anything like that.
story.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, there's going to be an effect because there's like huge electromagnetic. There's electromagnetics involved in both of these things, and there's going to be effects absolutely 100%. I don't know what those effects are. Maybe it could, I don't know, change trajectory. It could heat things up internally in the comet. It could do all sorts of things. But I don't know. I mean, in the data around that, to try to understand, because I was coming from the standpoint in looking at that on is the sun purposefully trying, putting pulses, because that's the claim that people were making.
Yeah.
Is the sun somehow purposefully, as some type of conscious being, launching flares and CMEs at it for whatever
Well,
reason?
obviously Jack Dorsey is. I mean, why
Right.
else is the bat signal Twitter
The
on the
bat
sun right
signals
now?
on this. I know.
Somebody in the
No, I didn't see
cosmos is calling for him to destroy 3i Atlas.
that. Right. I did not see anything in data that would suggest anything of the sort. And I just people also have to realize that we are in a period where we're going to get tons of these solar flares and CMEs. It's just the inevitability. It happens all the time historically. It happens all the time. So that was the data, the direction of the data, as opposed to it being some kind of like conscious construct that is trying to do something to some other body moving through the solar system.
Mm.
There was no intention or anything behind it.
Intention. All right.
Yeah.
At least at the 3D level.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, like, if you want to extrapolate on it and then think about this as you would maybe go down the path of okay, so if remote viewing data stated that this thing was operated by some beings, the whole Kardashev scale
Yeah.
thing and all of that, and they operated this, and the data was suggestive, not just from me, but from remote viewers that are outside of me, not connected to me at all, have gotten the same data about it being controlled by the same style of being that I talked about, and that it was involved in something that had nothing to do with us on the surface, but had to do with another group in our local sphere, solar system sphere, right? And they are antagonistic towards each other. And okay, so you've got that basic premise going there. Um, could it be, if this indeed, if the sun was doing something, could these other beings use the sun by moving some type of energy we can't see into it to use it as some kind of weapon?
That's kind of what I was wondering too.
Right. I didn't get anything like that, but that's like, I was thinking, "Ooh, perhaps if it was true, I don't know. I don't know."
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, we do some, like, I task on the sun quite a bit, remote viewers, for training purposes. And it's interesting. Like, there are three different ways that people will describe the sun. Some people will go straight physical and perceive that, like, that big energetic reaction going on, and describe that in detail physically. Other people will just get a whole session about somebody outside enjoying the warmth from the big ball in the sky, right? They'll
I
they'll
see.
go that direction,
Right.
because viewers don't view straight, especially when you get to the civilian world. Viewers have a lot of meaning layers, meaning constructs, and what we call analytic overlays, that you have to begin to decipher, and they won't recognize the difference between uh, purely getting information and letting go of their AOLs. And so they'll concoct their whole session around this story, but the story generally has to do with what it is. So there's that. And then, interestingly, so the third way people describe the sun is of a conscious being and a portal and a conscious being. I mean, think about the amount of energy in there. And we're talking more of a dimensional type construct, because in the 3D, that would very much vaporize you in a second. So there's a lot of energy there. And, like, for instance, on Earth, we find geologically energetic areas have more reports of paranormal phenomena, UFOs, things appearing, disappearing, and whatnot. Now, take the sun.
That looks
The
like a
sun is
being.
Yeah, yeah.
Look
I
at
mean, a
that.
lot of people do get it as a being.
It
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
those flares get pretty interesting sometimes. And that's really interesting that there's, like, several different ways that people end up viewing the sun or translating the sun, what's going on with the sun.
Right.
Um, but it is strange that we've had more, interdimensional oh, well, sorry. We have had more interstellar objects coming into our solar system than ever before over the last 10 years, allegedly, because no one's gonna tell us if that's happening anyway. Um, and then, we're we've got all of this activity on the sun going on as well, right? Kind of all at the same time. Do you forecast that there's going to be more interstellar objects coming
Oh, I
in?
don't know. I mean, I think a lot of things pass through that are smaller in scale than the public knows about, that the public can see. And I think this is just a regular occurrence. I mean, to tell you the God honest truth, I'm of the opinion that there is a whole ton of ships three-dimensional style in some type of orbit around the Earth that are not human, that
Hmm.
are not human. I am convinced of this, that there are a
Like they're up there
lot.
right now. They're around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Are
yeah,
they
yeah.
cloaked?
That's my world, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not so when I see something like Three Eye Atlas and everybody getting worked up about it, it doesn't do anything for me.
No,
It does
me
nothing for me.
either. But I think the interesting part of that whole drama is that scientists are leaning into this one, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing of it's being pushed very hard in the media for people to, at the very least, consider this other aspect, which
Yeah.
falls back into the whole like idea of so-called disclosure. This is just piggybacking on that to get people,
Yeah, and you
exactly.
kinda have to give a little bit of credit to Avi Loeb here for putting himself out there and helping to explain why this comet is an anomaly. Instead of just, leaving it alone, he's been very active in going on interviews and explaining why the mass, the materials don't make sense, why the, propulsion
The
doesn't
movement.
make
Yeah.
sense, the movement doesn't make sense, that it's not following any of the clear signs that this is a comet, right? And then, but you've still got a ton of people calling it the Three Eye Atlas comet. They're convinced it's a comet, but you've still got him standing there being like, "Well, wait a minute, no, we don't know what this is. This is bizarre," right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just this is part of the game in general, and the game is trying to expand a bit and bring in other publicly thought about possibilities,
Hmm.
because there's a push to begin some process of that by the powers that be. So I think, they're placing him in that position to keep hammering on that side so people begin to get it into their consciousness that it
Hmm.
could be something. It could be something, which is unique. It's very unique. But then you have NASA, and from our world, I don't even listen to NASA. We don't listen to NASA. Nobody like it doesn't matter what they say. They've been shown
Yes.
many times to just
Yeah.
lie about everything, and this is the whole thing of getting away from somebody like a government institution telling you what is and what isn't. That's just it's ridiculous. It's
Well, it's
like
hard. I mean, our world is set up to it was set up as a high trust society, and it's devolved into a bunch of BS that a lot of us didn't sign up for. I'd
right,
probably
right.
say that about any period of time in history, anywhere as civilization evolves. But regarding Three Eye Atlas, NASA has epically dropped the ball and an order of magnitudes greater than any ball drop before. I mean, to this day, this is the best picture that they've put out of Three Eye Atlas with their $1 billion telescopes.
I think that
Like,
is that from the Mars. I think that was from Mars,
no,
wasn't
that
it?
was of Three Eye Atlas the other day.
No, no, I think it was from Mars when it
Oh,
passed by
probably,
Mars. I
but
think
but
they
like
had,
that
um
that's like that just goes to show you. It's like, why are you there? Yeah, it was from an observatory, that
okay.
one. But the point is it's like we know you guys have the technology to track this thing, to view this thing, to show us what's going on, and you've got civilians taking better shots of this thing than NASA. Like, look, this was previously the best um, image they could give us of what was going on with Three Eye Atlas. Like, it looks like a crappy 8-bit Nintendo game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I mean,
terrible.
when it comes to NASA, yeah, I mean, their equipment would be intelligence, military grade, able to
Correct.
perceive, whatever, and then they give the public that. I mean, come on. Yeah, I know. I know. It's why I just don't pay attention to it. It doesn't matter what they say to me. It makes no difference. Not at
No,
all.
I know. It's just it's comical at this point.
It is,
Um,
yeah, it is comical.
yeah, and so I kind of want to get back to the sun a little bit here because it's such an interesting topic. So we were talking about the 11-year cycles of the sun, and that we hit maximum last year around 2024, and now we're kind of going to be coasting in that area for a while as the pendulum swings back the other way, as I understand it. So um, we could, I mean, already since 2024, we've gotten hit with a few bangers. I mean, it is possible that we really get nailed by the sun at some point. And I feel like there's been a lot of remote viewing data that you and your team has done around the sun and even previous civilizations having to deal with the sun. And what are your thoughts on how we're set up right now for all of this? What do you think is we have ahead of it, like the years ahead of us, at least
Oh, I
not
mean,
next
there've
few.
been a lot, like a lot of remote viewers that have also gone into this as well. I think what Ed Dames since 2000 or earlier was talking about the kill shot,
Yeah.
Major Ed Dames, part of the military construct of remote viewing there. A lot of remote viewers have looked into it, and a lot of remote viewers will get the same thing. That at some point in the future, the largest civilization style destructive event would not necessarily be something that is a meteor impact or anything like that, but more some type of catastrophic outburst from the sun. But that turns into this thing of trying to understand, well, what could that be? Because if we're talking about an X class flare, it's like something in the X 50 to 100 scale, that's not going to that's going to basically send us back to the Stone Age. It isn't going to it isn't going to cause the plates, the continental plates, to decouple and slosh around the earth. It's not going to cause tidal waves and earthquakes. Well, I mean, it could cause earthquakes. I think there's this, people are beginning to see correlation, especially in the
Yeah, the
especially in,
electromagnetics in the earth, right? I mean, they're
yeah,
connected.
that can cause, that will usually, these large events from the sun will follow on Earth some earthquakes. So people have correlated that, but mainstream won't correlate it. Mainstream takes it a different path. You've got the doomsayers, and you've got the doomsayers, highly conspiratorial, and then you've got the peer-reviewed scientists, paper side, and official agency. And those things don't come together very well at all. And there's not a lot of people in the middle with just like more sensible, like in the middle kind of thing, in the middle towards conspiracy. Like that's where I go, not the whole,
Yeah.
not the
No,
whole
I
gamut.
I hear you because it's usually somewhere, especially even when you're looking at some of the crazier conspiracy theories out there. Some of that
Right.
information is true, but then, like we've been talking about for the last year, 80% of it could be a bunch of BS, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm a conspiracy theorist across the board, but I'm not. I'm literally not. Like I have things remote viewed, and then I say what those things are or aren't, and the things when they are, I automatically sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm talking about the data.
Yeah.
Like I believe the data, and so I automatically become in that realm, but this is remote viewing data. So it's a slippery slope. The whole damn thing's a slippery slope. But anyway, like, okay, so go back to like Chan Thomas. You remember Chan Thomas? He wrote the book The Adam and Eve Story
Yeah.
in 1966. And this book was classified by the CIA. And in 2013, they began to release bits and pieces of it. And then just recently, they declassified the whole book. Well, what does the book talk about? And why would they classify this?
Yeah, this is
It
weird.
talks about the Earth's magnetic and electrical balance being disrupted um, um, every 6,500 years, and that there's evidence of this leading to these like pole shifts and all sorts of things. But now he started applying that to this idea of the plates decoupling and all of this, and causing the continents to slide, which goes into the galactic sheet theory, where there's a galactic pulse that comes from the center of the universe that we're in every, I think, 12,000-ish years. It could be 6,500. I don't know. Every 12,000-ish years, which causes, um, it brings in matter
Yeah.
and different types of electromagnetically charged matter that causes the suns throughout different systems to pass through. If you like have the center of the Milky Way, and there's these like wave-like pulses that go out. In between the waves is like 12,000 years in time for us. And when another wave, we're right here, and when another wave begins to come through, to begin to hit us, and it comes through these other solar systems, as it passes through, the change in matter, the change in electromagnetics as matter, as it comes into our place in the universe, it begins to affect the suns of these solar systems, and they go through this massive outburst. And so that, to me, reflects more so the remote viewing data that I'm seeing than a like CME.
A coronal burst, right?
Yeah, because what we're talking about with the galactic sheet idea is that this layer of dense material on the surface of the sun begins to go a little bit dormant, and the sun gets darker, and then it blasts off the sun. When it blasts off the sun, this is not just matter, but highly, highly charged particles. And this is really what causes the issue that Chan Thomas is describing in that book. Now, when you get to why the CIA classified that book, nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's never been an explanation, a clear explanation
I
on
think
why
that
that.
is the I think that is the explanation. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah, because
they've been studying like space anomalies, the cycles and all of that stuff for a long time. I think
right.
they've been aware of it, right?
Well, I think it was in the 1940s or 50s. It was the military had sent, I think, a major. I can't remember this guy's name. If anybody remembers, let me know. But this is a public paper. This is all in the public. Sent a military. Um, the military went up to Alaska, in that area, in order to begin to map out that whole area, because they hadn't really done it before, especially when it came to um, creating like flight paths and grids and flight paths,
Yeah,
because
sure.
you can't really see any, like, you can't use ground reference really for flight paths, and so they were trying to figure it out. Apparently, so what happened is that um, there was some digging going on in this process, and there I might be conflating two things that aren't related to each other at the moment. Okay,
Mm.
so just bear that in mind, because I forgot about this story until just now. So in Alaska, I think it was during this time when they were investigating this, there were layers. There would be a layer of ice, and then there would be a layer of dense vegetative matter. A layer of ice, a layer of dense vegetative matter. And the vegetative matter seemed to be tropical. And this correlates to the Iceland ice core, or the Greenland ice cores, where every 12,000 years, there's some kind of catastrophic change
And
to the
Antarctica,
environment.
right?
No, we're
Antarctica.
talking I think we're talking Alaska on this
Sure, sure.
specific thing I'm talking about, right? In that area, general area. And so what that would mean, if I'm not mistaken, what that would mean, if you're finding layer of ice and then plant matter, what you're not, if since that's the pole, that pole would have to actually physically shift, not a geomagnetic, electromagnetic
Right.
pole shift. We're talking about a literal shift. Now, how does the Earth shift? I think it follows the line of it could follow the line. There's some science behind this, of the plates decoupling
Right.
and sliding.
Right. Moving
Right.
across or
Right.
around.
Right. Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but these are some of the ideas and theories that people are chasing. And I'm not. I mean, we're talking like people. I don't know if Randall Carlson talks about this specific thing, but he talks about he's a catastrophist, and he talks about very convincing and good, interesting ways, citing data, good data on the catastrophic side of our planet, which this is why the Thomas Chan book was likely buried in CIA classification, just in general. So,
Well, and think about the psychology of why you would classify something as a military organization. You would classify something if it
well,
was
if he revealed any sort of like measuring tools that they didn't want revealed, or it could be that how he came to these. He was in the Air Force, so it could be that how he came to the conclusion. The only way anyone in the know would be using like an instrument that could do A, B, C, and D, which nobody's
right,
developed yet.
right. So this would start threatening national security in some way.
Right. Right.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it might not just be national security, as in, a lot of times things get classified if they're related to technology that could lead to weapons, right? We know
Right.
that. But then here you've got information that could cause mass hysteria,
Right.
right? If they know their doom, but what makes it scarier is that it was classified, because then
Right.
they're taking this information extremely seriously. They've declassified it now for whatever reason. Maybe they're too busy communicating with interdimensional beings through CERN or something like that. Just kidding, kind of. But it's still would draw more attention to it now, I think, than ever. The fact that it was classified for a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, back to this idea of we were talking about how some of your remote viewers, when they were reviewing the sun, they saw that there was a being there and there was like a portal, right? And there was a
Yeah.
really interesting so we've done a lot of episodes, and I'm not sure if you guys have watched all of our episodes, so I'm going to throw out some information that was in a few of them. But you remember when we were doing the Shroud of Turin episode, and the discussion around the process that Jesus's body was going through. It was actually coming not only from his body, but it was communicating with energies in the earth. And there was massive electrical storms, earthquakes at the time, every kind of bizarre physical anomaly that could have happened was going on during that 3-day period. Your remote viewers looked into that. Totally accurate. That happened, right? The Shroud of Turin is legit. If you haven't watched that episode, you totally should, especially
That's
around
one of
COVID.
my favorite episodes.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's so mind-blowing. It's just
Yeah.
it's so revealing and so mind-blowing about how just wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the anomalies specifically that were going on with the Earth, right? We're talking about a being ascending. You've got electrical storms everywhere, potential portals being opened up. I mean, because we're talking about other dimensional things here. And now we're kind of talking about the electromagnetics of the earth and the sun's effect on the earth, and then we're also talking about this the cataclysms that could occur. This is a stupid movie, but have you ever seen the movie Pacific Rim before?
Yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah. Actually, it's
love that
fun
movie.
if you're a dude and you just want to watch monsters getting beat down by robots. It's a fun
Yeah.
one, right?
It's a good movie.
It's the stuff of childhood right there in a movie.
Yeah.
But what I thought was so interesting about this movie wasn't just the monsters beating one another to death, but it was the concept of the plates that were interacting and causing an electrical charge, and it was opening up a portal that these massive monsters were coming through. And I
Right.
remember when I saw that in that movie for the first time, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. it wasn't like this wasn't a stretch. I wasn't like I understand that that's not happening. Obviously, we don't have Godzilla here, right? But the potential for something like that to happen was really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that all of these energies and the way that they're working together, even including with the sun hitting the earth, these are doing things that we can't even comprehend to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is, and I like the ideas that step outside the regular peer review, government-funded peer review, university professor
Yeah.
thing, into the realm of, like, Randall Carlson, and I mean, even Ben Davidson, regardless of how much the other side yells and screams that they're grifters, because they're bringing up new ideas to consider,
Yeah.
as opposed to the same old pablum by the people. See, this is the big problem why you have this huge polarity. These people yell, the peer reviewed people yell at the ones they think are grifting, and the grifters yell at, which they're not, yell at the peer reviewed people. And I can tell you right up that the peer reviewed people, the way they make their money, quite a bit of them is through government grants. That's
Yeah.
how they make their money, and
Yes.
that whole system is to keep a specific narrative going,
In place.
and right, and a specific narrative and belief system, and it's not that those people look, you can always cherry pick data to make your own case. You've got people on one side cherry picking data to make their case, and then you've got them cherry picking their data to make their case, right? And that's the thing that bugs me, is that, and this is why it's so important for people to understand, like, who has the time though? Like, who has the time for this? But it's so important for people to understand the issues themselves to a degree so that they
Yeah.
can make an informed conclusion
Yeah.
outside of both of the realms, and not follow anybody's, like, what anybody thinks it is. Only use those as directions of thought
You
and
know,
preparation or whatever.
I was looking at some really interesting research the other day that proved through experimentation that your gut, the gut feelings that you have, that your gut can tell the future. That like your gut acts as almost like a secondary brain to warn you when something is going on.
Yeah,
This
the
is why,
enteric nervous.
right? This is why people throughout history have talked about gut feelings, trusting your gut on things, right?
Yeah, the cop with the gut feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just think there people are not like we've talked about this before, people are not doing that anymore. They're not trusting their gut on things or asking themselves what they think about these things. They're just too willing to listen to talking heads tell them their business. So we need to go back to that to some extent. But there on this episode there was a lot of talk about potential catastrophe to the earth, but I kind of want to share the other side of this a little bit too, because I don't think that's going to happen. First of all, I think that there's something very special going on here, especially if the human race is still kicking, being as terrible as it is. Um, um, but we have a lot of with the coronal mass ejections. I almost feel like glad that the sun is there and has these potential solar storms hitting the earth, because from the research that I've done, I feel very strongly that the human race gotten has screwed itself multiple times through developing AI. I think AI can be an extremely dangerous force. We've had people talking about this for years, but what would be the only thing that could wipe AI out? Well, if a massive EMP hit the earth, there it is right there. The hand of God just blasting earth and wiping out all of the tech. Maybe that's if things get too bad, maybe that's the move.
Yeah, AI is already AI is so disruptive.
Yeah.
It is so okay, so I think people have to understand that AI did not come out of a public idea and work through at the moment that it did. I mean, there is a clear path of AI in general, of the idea of the development of AI in general, in throughout history. But AI was used in labs, in black ops for a very long time. Has been used for a very long time because it's an exceedingly powerful tool.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful. Look, you have to look at AI right now. AI is going to completely transform society, where whole sectors of careers, college study that people spent a lot of money on, a lot of time on, are going to completely vanish.
Yeah.
Complete, like the illustration world, as you know, is already going away. Like this, it is so, it's such a disruptive thing that and the people who have put it out in the world. Now we're talking about like XAI and Chat GPT, and the XAI, basically, that like open AI, was funded by intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
That was all. So basically the seeds from the intelligence agencies go into the creation of this in the public realm within a walled garden. Okay, so what's it trained on? The freaking internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
The worst,
Okay.
like, which
Your
part?
walled garden of
Yeah.
Wikipedia is what AI is going to reference.
No, that's not what I'm
Now,
afraid of. It's the dark web. I mean,
it's not going to give us that, though. Oh, you can train it on anything. Look, train it on classified
but it's
information having
getting
to do
in
with
there.
UAPs and
Yeah.
aliens, right? In a classified, train it on
Sure.
all the classified material, which they've done in order to solve issues and work with them on that side. UAP, reverse engineering. Okay, so that, you got to think of that kind of a tool. That kind of tool would have been held for years so closely by intelligence agencies and never released to the public,
Right.
ever, unless it had some benefit at a certain, because all of a sudden China's getting it, Russia's getting, et cetera, right? And you're going to reveal your hand on why you have reverse engineered UAPs yourself or whatever, or you can figure out everything, right? So of course it's going to be, they're going to be using it. They're going to train it on classified materials for their own purposes.
Sure.
Then there's some benefit for them in giving it to us, the public. But our version gets trained on this little box of the internet. We don't get anything else outside of it. So when you start talking to GPT or Grok or Claude or whomever, you're getting this Wikipedia style version of, this is science.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
science. This is science. Right? But it's only bouncing around in this walled garden. So,
Yeah.
man, yeah, it's not what people think it is. Now, why was it
Yeah.
released when it has such
That's the question.
catastrophic,
Yeah.
like civilization, societal upheaval, short term pain, long term gain? I don't know. Why
No,
also was the US border open for so long? Yeah, okay. Sorry. I'm not supposed to go there. Squeezing from both sides, removing jobs on both sides for citizens? I don't know. Could be.
yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
full
There
conspiratorial.
were
Yeah.
no, and I think that I have pretty, s yeah, I have a pretty negative view of this entire thing as
Yeah.
well. I mean, if they're allowing it out, it's because the AI model that they were using was too limited by the limitations of working on projects, and they needed it to
Right.
expand its brain more, and the best way to do that would be to release part of it to the public. So while they have the public Wikipedia model going, there's all of this stuff going on in the background where that data is then being sent to a centralized place, and it's building, the Skynet of the
Absolutely.
future. Right.
Yeah, the another part of its training is for the human interaction on a mass scale, because it learns that way now.
Right.
And that's what this is all about. But there's layers to it. It's not just about that. It's about other things that we don't quite understand.
No,
It
we
could
don't.
be, it could be
Yeah.
an arc, what if it's an arc for
Well,
human
that's
whatever
just it,
for
though, is if you're releasing this thing to the public and it has a potential to destroy mankind, you would know that. And I don't think it's just usually I'll just point to the hubris of scientists, right? But you're talking about a weapon so dangerous that that it could destroy humanity. So for people to release that, they would know already, some part of them, or in the circles that they're running with, they think humanity is screwed already. So they're
yeah,
preparing for plan B. They're like,
right.
oh, me and my friends will survive all of this. They release that out. They collect everything through the arc, as you're saying, and then they can take that with them wherever they're going to go, because they're the only ones that are going to survive the cataclysm that's coming, kind of thing, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the negative. What could be the reason why they let it loose?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the black pilled thing.
it's yeah, it is, but it's like also that's highly probable. It's just that,
It's
will it go that way? I mean,
right.
I'm not saying it will go that way. I think there are other plans going on
Oh,
here.
I think there's so many different layers of plans in this
Yes. Yes.
that all get weighed, you know? All of these get weighed, and then because I don't believe I mean, okay. Yeah, well, no, we won't go down that path. It just gets too weird.
You can.
Well, I'm just talking about, when you look at Altman, for instance, and how now him and his husband are going to be doing genetic enhancements to children offshore.
Oh, that's so
And
many
then, but
moral
wait, and
things.
then you look at, if you go into a lot of the conspiracy surrounding the eugenics side of
Yes.
the oilocracy, really is really what it comes down to. Of it's the same thing, right? And so so if when you tie this back to eugenics, when you tie what he's currently doing to eugenics, which is what it is, and then look at historically how these very elite governmental and people outside of government that influence government move eugenics and what they want to do with eugenics and depopulation and whatnot, their ideas, not conspiracy, their ideas that have been presented. And then you see the head of OpenAI or ChatGPT begin to move towards eugenics, you begin to understand how things are connected,
Right.
how these things are completely connected, and that your little AI there is not there for the reason to, give you something.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think that's where the human hubris comes in, right there.
Yeah,
Thinking that you can control a weapon like AI that's so much more dangerous than the atom bomb.
right.
I mean, just so much more dangerous.
It
It's
is
just, yeah,
100%. 100%.
easily.
Yeah.
Well, John, we've got some questions that came in. I want to answer a few questions with you guys right now. Thank you guys for being here, for watching the show. Let's go on and answer some of your questions. And then before we do that, I just wanted to let you guys know that Metaphysical actually has a deal right now where we have a platform where there's over 1,000 videos of mysteries content. John has his own series on this platform called Chronicles of a Psychic Spy, which you'll love. It's a great show. It delves into using remote viewing mysteries that no one's figured out, similar to Metaphysical, and he reveals what happened with some of the most classic mysteries on the planet. We've also got tons and tons of other content here and series, like our Relics of Power series, where we talk about all of the relics that Hitler was after during World War II. It's like Indiana Jones in real life. All of that's on. You can get access to that by going to themetaphysical.tv, and you can get 25% off our annual subscription just by going here and subscribing and supporting our work. Of course, the content is a bonus. What you're really doing is supporting John and I in our mission to get the word out about all of this stuff and help us keep the lights on. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And why don't we go ahead and look at some of these questions here now? Okay. So John, I'll read out the question and then we can take a stab at answering them, okay? Okay, so Holly House 11 said, I always know if there's a big solar thing happening as to how my better half feels. They will keep him up for 3 days or nights with zero sleep easily.
Yeah, that was happening to me. I wasn't getting much sleep at all on the last storms. It's just an electrical charge.
Yeah,
Uh,
You just
it's
feel it in
not.
your chest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people complaining about that, Holly. So it wasn't just your better half there. Okay, so we've got a funny comment here about NASA's photos. Okay, so from Hillbilly Herb, he said, I feel like the energy from the sun is good, but our bodies don't understand it maybe and see it as a threat, so we fight against the upgrade. I don't know. I think it's really hard to tell right now. You know, if giving my honest answer to that is I think there's been so much stuff sprayed into the atmosphere right now that we don't actually know what pure sunlight would feel on our skin and how good and healthy it would be for us because there's so much crap in the atmosphere that's reflecting back necessary frequencies and sun rays that the body actually needs. So I think that the things that are going on right now with sunburns and people's reactions to the sun, the special burning of the sun in certain areas, I think all of that is anomalous and not how the earth is supposed to be right now. But John, what do you think about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of I remember I did a project with some NASA contractors, scientists, NASA basically is contractors, and did a project with them and on climate study type stuff. And it's really interesting how these sort of papers get basically you have to have a certain viewpoint and express that viewpoint that's in line with government propaganda. Otherwise, you don't get money for funding on these things. But our deal was that we were to look at Earth events from the perspective of climate change, and because the whole idea is that humans are causing it through carbon emission and whatnot.
Yeah.
And what we saw in the data and along with the scientists is that no, this is not true. Sun and space weather change affect our climate more than anything. And one of the areas that we had to look at had to do with exactly what's being revealed right now, what people are calling the chemtrails, because there have always been these ideas that showed up in peer review. And I know Bill Gates got behind one of them big time in order to fund dispersal of material in the
Right.
atmosphere in order to reflect the sun and stuff. And so what we saw as the ultimate outcome of that was literally desertification of certain areas of the earth, that it will cause such massive problems on this planet by doing that, that it was one of the worst things that could be done. And
It,
so when it affects that much on desertifying lands, huge swaths of land, it's going to affect humans as well in
but
a
like
very, very
think
important
about
way.
how much money from what you just said is going into not only climate change but Bill Gates and all of the stuff he's going on, Sam Altman, all the stuff he's got going on, and all of this stuff still points back to eugenics.
Absolutely does.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's one thing. You're not ever going to fool me into thinking that our smartest scientists in our military doesn't know that it's the sun that's changing the climate and it's not carbon emissions. They're not
Right,
stupid.
right. It's the sun and cosmic particles. Yeah,
Right.
those are the two players. Yeah, carbon's going to have a localized effect and can cause issues here and there.
Then all you have to do is literally all you have to do is just plant some more trees.
Or release the free energy, or
Yeah,
let us
right.
use the water-powered cars or whatever.
But the craziest part of that whole thing is that all of the energy that has been consumed, like in my area, Facebook moved into the area that I'm around, right? In the general area. And one of my friends that I've made in this area works for a local arboretum, and he works with Meta all the time. And I was like, why is Meta giving you guys money at the arboretum?
Weird.
He's like, he looked at me and he was like, it's guilt money. And I was like, what do you mean? Expand on that. And he was like, well, he's like, they bought a massive property. They wiped out all of the trees to build this property, and the local area can't cover the amount of energy that Facebook needs to run everything that they're doing. Yeah. And he's like, so one of the ways that they convince themselves that all of this is okay is by giving us, the Arboretum, a lot of money.
Oh my God.
So the reason why I think that's funny is because it's like, when we look at the carbon emissions that could be out there, the carbon emissions, well, who actually made those carbon emissions? You think it's all the cars that are on the road, or is it perhaps some of the largest corporations in the world that are pointing the finger at you?
Right. Yeah.
Well, who really did that?
Right.
It's just, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous when you think about it. And yet here we are, like people still pointing the finger at other humans, and they're not quick-witted enough to see what's going on,
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another one, another question. This is a cool one. So Christiana Adorable 1977 asked, hey, you guys have any idea if the Giants of Solomon Island was real? Oh, and you guys keep safe, and I really love your work, watching since Edge of Wonder days. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, so the Giants of Solomon Island. Do you know about that, John?
No, I don't know.
I haven't heard too much about that either.
It's just like there's
Lindsay,
so much
let's see if Lindsay will pull something up for us so we can look at what this thing is.
I think I have heard of that. Yeah, I just need to be refreshed on it.
It's a legend. Can you pull that up? That page? Okay. Where did the Solomon Island Giants legend come from? Wow, this looks cool. Are they ancient myths or something?
Yeah, this thing. I remember this. Oh yeah, okay. So double eyebrows. That's kind of weird. Actually, that usually it's applied to double dentition. Why would they have double eyebrows? Doesn't make any sense. But whatever the case.
Yeah, well, I think if you have two sets of teeth, you might as well have two sets of eyebrows too.
Double eyebrows.
If you're a giant, yeah, 4 eyebrows just to keep that extra sun out of your eyes, I guess.
The whole giant thing. I mean, yeah, they were all over the planet. I mean, they were all over the planet. This is not something that's really new. So yeah, I would tend to believe it's true. Never remote viewed that one, but have remote viewed a lot of giant stories. It's kind of hard to, like, in remote viewing data, to actually discern between something being really large and something being really small. I mean, it will come forward, but sometimes it can be difficult. Viewers won't necessarily go down that path. But we have, like, with remote viewing, verified, at least, to a degree, that some of these people are very large. Like, for me, I don't think that. Okay, so we look at the red-haired giants of in Nevada. You know that story, the
Yes.
red-haired giants that got burned alive in the cave by the Apache Indians. So the Apache
Yes.
have the story of the cannibalistic red-haired giants that used to chase them down and eat them. And they got so annoyed with this that, well, annoyed more so than that, but they drove him into a cave and they burned him. And then later on, we're talking like early 1900s, mid 1900s, some guano miners were going after the bat poop in that cave
Very
for
valuable.
for TNT, like,
Yeah.
yeah, for explosives. Um, and they found giant bones, giant skulls in the cave that the Apache have the lore about them killing them in. There are lots and lots and lots of stories come from native peoples across the world that talk about the giants. I don't need remote viewing. I don't need remote viewing to
No,
know that this was
no,
truth,
yeah.
because you can pull together a lot of anecdotal evidence and stories to build your own picture. To build
And I
this
will
was so
say,
yeah, go ahead.
not only that, but all of the articles that came out pre-depression, all of the articles that were coming out pre-depression from 1850 to about 1930 that were talking about all of the giant bones being dug up in places like Kentucky, Ohio being the major state where this stuff was getting dug up. You can go and find articles of stuff going on in like counties in Ohio. I think one of them is called Licking and the other is called Muskingum. And even Abraham Lincoln was talking about the giants that were found in the upper part of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
He literally talked about that publicly.
Yeah,
Everyone, this was common knowledge at that time that this stuff was
right.
going on, that they were digging these things up. And then right at around the Depression, all of that stuff got piled up and burned. It wasn't supporting the narrative that they wanted you guys to know about.
Yeah. Yeah, and that this was socially engineered out of people's minds in a very what, like, over 100 years, 50, 75 years.
I
This
honestly,
is
it
how
was
you
like
start,
10 years. It's like
yeah,
20 years.
right.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to socially engineer people into new ways of thinking and to forget old things, and I think the idea of giants for the average person is more laughable than the idea of aliens, you know, because they've
Yeah.
been so
Yeah.
engineered in that
I would
way.
say, aliens, giants, reptilians.
Yeah, exactly. Reptilians. Oh, man.
Did you ever see that movie Species, the alien movie Species?
No, I didn't see that.
So, well, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because it's a reptilian alien that is cloaking themselves as a human. So they're changing into a human, but then they change back into their freaky reptilian form when they want to like horrify the human race, basically.
Okay, good.
It's worth a watch if you haven't seen it, just because it's kind of one of those classic 90s movies. But I imagine, people that are like, oh, the reptilian thing is not even a thing. Maybe it's not happening the way that you think. Maybe it's more on the cellular level.
Right.
They could look exactly like humans, but reptilians are known to be able to change like cloak themselves in ways that humans can't. So who knows? Uh, we'll get a couple more questions here. So Sabe Anish says reels give you emotional response quick, and it's training you to lose focus for extended periods. It's scary. So talking about like reels and short social, like doom scrolling and what it does to your mind, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
don't do that. It's a horrible thing to do. It causes it's not it causes ADHD, as
But
I
like how
stutter it
much
out.
of it, because I don't feel like I become less sharp. Well, this is just up for discussion, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that are doom scrolling like all day and they're just becoming
Yeah,
shells of themselves.
yeah,
But then I basically will go on to Instagram like once or twice a day and I'll just like scroll through for 3 to 5 clips and I'll find some funny stuff and send them to friends and then I move on with my life because I'm too busy to
right.
do that.
Yeah, you're
I
too
don't
busy.
Yeah, I don't feel like I am getting affected negatively, but I feel like for the young people who are living on that stuff and that's all they do, it just
Yeah.
I can feel the numbing effect of that. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 I don't like it at all. It feels really bad to do. And plus, you do it on your phone, and have you begun to feel, I'm sure people feel this, man, your hand, you can feel at a certain point the amount of electricity building up at your
Yes.
fingers.
Yeah,
It's
I
bad.
don't I know.
It's
I don't even like having my phone in my
Yeah.
pocket. It just freaks me out.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are not good.
No.
I wish a new technology would come ar I'm just go back to landlines and get rid of my cell phone.
No, landlines would be really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah, get an
mean,
old rotary phone
go
that
back to
works.
the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
You'd have to, like, race to your phone to pick it up, and then trip over the cord and then get pissed off. It was great. Um, uh, the dumbest phone is parenting genius. What? Oh, people are buying landlines for their kids now so that they can
Yeah.
that's smart. They should do that.
Yeah.
All right, question from Win-Win Jen. This will be the last one, I guess. We have fake meat, people selling human body parts, China growing babies for spare parts, the elite being exposed, everyone fighting, even though we have more in common with each other than the elites. Yes, you're pointing out the single most thing that annoys me on a daily basis is the fact that people, all of these podcasters, all of these people all across the internet that are actually intelligent people still haven't put together the fact that planned opposition, conflicts can be planned, and that all of this stuff has been set up so that everyone's arguing with one another.
Yep.
That
That's how it
drives me
is.
crazy. I'm just like, how do you not see the biggest play in the communist playbook? If you read through all of the doctrines of communism and all of that stuff, was specifically how to manipulate a free country like America into having everyone argue until there are revolutions that are going on. Right now,
Yep.
I'm not saying that all of it is that, but we would be fools not to think that more of this is going on. Yeah, this book right here, if you ever read the 9 commentaries of the Communist Party, will blow your mind. Also, The Specter of Communism. There are other books out there too that share the history of planned world revolution out there that you can find. Where, and then there are great books out there that talk about psychological operations, how they work and operate. You can go read some of Saul Alinsky's books, who trained a lot of people that have been in high positions of power on how to create conflicts in society, how to organize, how to group organize and do all of these things. All of that stuff is in play right now, and no one out there is talking about it. Even political pundits are not talking about this stuff, and the fabric of everything that's going on in American society right now is it's a part of that. It's a huge part of that. Why are we not smart enough to realize that people are trying to make us fight one another? I mean, look what happened from 2016 through 2024. You see more families that are not talking to one another because they don't agree with one another's political views. That never happened in the 90s. You just tell one another to F off, and then you'd keep eating popcorn together and watch something.
Yeah. No big deal. Didn't
Not a
matter.
big deal at all. It was just
Mm.
like, well, I don't agree with you, but whatever. You talk about something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
I know.
strange.
Well, keeping people separated, keeping people fighting each other, you conquer and divide. Divide and conquer.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. All of it.
No,
So, but
if you,
a
yeah,
lot
but
of
if
people
you
don't study history for one thing.
no, or unconventional warfare.
Right.
Unconventional warfare is all about creating those conflicts like are happening in America, just so that an outside nation like the China or the CCP or something can actually come in and infiltrate.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, speaking of that, yeah, we did an episode kind of on this recently. There was it Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin were dropping on a hot mic that they figured out immortality, which is so bizarre that they got that on hot mic. The only thing even close to being as crazy as this that was dropped on hot mic was when the Queen died, and that woman that we did the show on was talking about where her spirit was. But yeah, you can check that out, and it gives a lot more information and background on what's actually happening over there if any of this is interesting to you. Yeah, that was a weird episode too. Well, anyway, you guys, I think we'll end the live here. We've been hanging out with you guys for about an hour and a half. I hope you guys liked this episode. Definitely leave your comments below. There is a new hype button on YouTube. If you could click that button after you've watched this, we'd really appreciate that. It's like right underneath the title. You can go and hit hype, and then it'll allegedly send it out to more people. Let's see if that's true.
Yeah.
It'll have to be when we end the show. So check when we end. It's not there right now for whatever reason. But yeah, John, anything else that you wanted to say?
No, just one thing. Like,
Yeah.
one thing I want to just point out is that with regard to 3i Atlas, there was no indication in our data that we would have any sort of like ill effects from it, from our perspective, that it was something that was related to something else going on, and it would come and go. Basically, there'd be nothing to actually worry about with this thing. So I just want to like reiterate that, because I know I said it in the last episode. It's just that, you know, people get worked up over this stuff, and I don't see anything negative for us coming from it. So yeah.
No. And I mean, it goes back to the same principle, which is think about how many times objects like this have been around in Earth over the last 1,000 years. What's happened? When has humanity ever been affected? There's never been an Independence Day style, takeover of the Earth. Like, that's just not a thing. It's not going to happen. So
They're already here. They've already been here for a long time. So
correct.
And it wouldn't be sort of it wouldn't be like the way we conduct war either. We think of taking things over as this military force to physically take over.
One force.
With them, it's more subtle under the surface all of a sudden.
Which is probably why the greatest thing to infiltrate, if you're one of those, is something like this. You know, people are always asking, where's the UFO technology? Where's the UFO technology? What? I mean, it's pretty much all around us, guys. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, John, thanks for saying that. And thanks for being with us. And you guys, just a reminder, 25% off annual subscription to support our work. You get to help us keep the lights on and keep going, bringing you guys content no one else is even possible. It's not even possible for other people to have the same type of content as us, thanks to John. And yeah, it's 25% off. And you also get access to 1,000 videos on there that are going to blow your mind for real. So thank you guys for being with us, and we'll see you guys soon. Hope you thought this episode was out of this world.